Before we begin, look around you. Choose one object. A chair, a door, a shadow in the corner. Now look away, just for a second. Did it stay the same? You assume it did. You trust that walls remain upright when you close your eyes, that ceilings don't soften, that doors don't shift slightly to the left when no one is measuring them. But what if stability isn't permanent? What if reality is less like stone and more like wet cement, held in place only because enough minds are pressing against it? Tonight's stories are not about ghosts, not about possession, not about consciousness spreading across humanity. They are about something simpler: observation. What changes when it is not witnessed? What collapses when it is forgotten? What stabilizes only because we agree it should? And as you listen, be careful what you stop looking at, because some things do not like being left alone. Let's begin.
My name is Clara Mendez, and the house I grew up in never argued with us. That sounds harmless until you understand what I mean. It was a two-story colonial on Ashford Lane. Cream siding, narrow staircase, dining room too small for holidays. The kind of house that forces you to bump into each other. We used to joke about its flaws constantly. I wish this kitchen were bigger. This hallway is too dark. Wouldn't it be nice if the bathroom were upstairs instead? Harmless complaints, background noise, until the kitchen expanded. Not dramatically, just enough that the table no longer scraped the cabinets. My mother noticed first. "Did we move the island?" she asked. My father laughed. "No," but we all felt it. More space between the sink and the stove, air where there used to be crowding. We blamed faulty memory. Homes feel different over time, right? But then the upstairs bathroom appeared. There had never been one. The plumbing wasn't new. The tiles weren't freshly laid. It looked aged, subtly worn, as if it had always existed. My younger brother swore he remembered using it as a child. I didn't. Family photo albums began reflecting the change. Old Christmas pictures showed a hallway door behind us that I had no memory of. The door led to the bathroom. It had been there for years, according to the evidence. That's when I started paying attention to what we wished for. My father once muttered, "This place could use more light." The next morning, the living room window was wider. Not replaced, just extended. No seams, no construction marks. The siding adjusted seamlessly. Sunlight poured in like it had always belonged. We stopped speaking casually. We began choosing our words carefully, because the house wasn't responding to spoken requests. It was responding to expectation. When my mother worried aloud that the stairs were unsafe, the railing thickened. When my brother wished for more privacy, his bedroom shifted to the far end of the hall. We didn't hear it move. We just noticed the distance had grown. It was efficient, accommodating, generous, and that generosity felt wrong, because houses don't adapt to moods, not structurally. One evening, during dinner, I thought something silently. I wish this house felt bigger. I didn't say it. I didn't whisper it. I just felt it. The next morning, I got lost. The hallway extended into a corridor I didn't recognize. The dining room had a second doorway. Rooms branched like a maze. My parents claimed it had always been laid out that way. Old floor plans, kept in a folder for insurance, showed the expanded layout. My handwriting labeled the rooms, but I didn't remember writing it. The house wasn't granting wishes. It was resolving dissatisfaction, aligning physical space with internal consensus. And here's the part that broke me. The house began correcting emotions too. When tension filled the room, walls softened, acoustics dampened, voices carried less. Arguments diffused because the room absorbed them. When sadness lingered, the ceilings lowered slightly, cozier, warmer, as if comfort were architectural. We stopped leaving. Why would we? Everything adjusted, everything optimized. Friends who visited seemed disoriented. "Your stairs feel steeper," one said. "They're not," my father insisted. But when that friend returned months later, the stairs were normal again, because we had stopped thinking about them. I tried an experiment. I stood in the center of the living room and deliberately imagined the house smaller, tighter, restrictive. Within minutes, the air felt heavy, the walls closer. My mother looked up from her book. "Does it feel cramped in here?" she asked. I stopped imagining. The pressure eased. The house relaxed. It wasn't random. It required alignment. The more of us who felt the same thing, the stronger the adjustment. Collective dissatisfaction reshaped the blueprint. Collective comfort solidified it. One night, my brother confessed something. "I don't remember what the house looked like originally," he said. Neither did I. The earliest layout had blurred in my mind, as if overwritten by successive updates. We searched for old photos from when we first moved in. Every image matched the current version. The house had retroactively corrected memory. Then came the thought none of us said aloud. What if we don't fit anymore? The shift that followed was subtle. Doorways widened, rooms spaced out. The house felt less intimate, more accommodating, like it was preparing for fewer occupants. My father took a new job in another state shortly after. We packed boxes, or tried to, because when we attempted to measure rooms for furniture placement in the new house, we couldn't agree on the dimensions. Every tape measure reading fluctuated, an inch longer, half-inch shorter. The house didn't want to be reduced to numbers. On our final night there, I stood alone in the entryway. I tried to remember its original size. The narrow hall, the small kitchen, the tight staircase. I couldn't. It felt like trying to recall the dream overwritten by a better one. Listener, have you ever walked into your childhood home and felt it smaller than you remembered? What if it didn't shrink? What if your expectations simply expanded? And what if houses aren't static structures, but mirrors? What if they stabilize the shape of who lives inside them? And if that's true, then what happens when a family disagrees about what they need? Does the house split? Does it choose? Or does it compress until only the most agreed upon version remains? We moved away 2 months ago. Our new house hasn't changed, yet. But sometimes when I think about how cramped the kitchen feels, I notice the counter has a little more space the next morning. And I don't know if that's memory correcting itself, or if the walls are listening.
My name is Adrian Cole, and I think you're the reason I still exist. I know how that sounds, but stay with me, because if you stop reading, if you look away, something in this room changes. I started noticing it 3 weeks ago. Small inconsistencies. My apartment door handle used to be brass. Now it's silver. I checked old photos on my phone. Silver. Always silver. But I remember polishing brass. I remember the smell of metal cleaner, the weight of it in my hand. Memory disagrees with evidence, and evidence wins. At first, I thought stress was rewriting details. Then I noticed something worse. Objects shift when unobserved. If I leave a book on the table and walk into the kitchen, when I return, it's slightly angled differently. Not dramatically, just enough to feel reconsidered. If I stare at it, it remains stable. But the second I blink, there's variance, subtle edits. The world becomes less precise when not directly witnessed. I tested it deliberately, placed a glass of water in the center of my desk, stared at it for 5 full minutes, perfectly still. Then I turned my head, counted to 3, turned back. The glass had condensation now. I hadn't poured it cold. The room wasn't humid, but there it was, a small atmospheric correction, as if the environment decided moisture made more sense. The most terrifying part? It doesn't happen when someone else is present. I invited my sister, Mara, over. We sat across from each other at the table. Nothing shifted, nothing altered. Everything remained coherent. But when she left, the hallway felt longer. Not visually longer, but spatially stretched, like the distance to the bedroom required more steps.
I counted. It did. 2 extra. The next morning, it required 1 fewer. Measurements aren't fixed anymore. They fluctuate with attention. Then I started recording. I'd film a room continuously and leave it running while I stepped out of frame. When I rewatched the footage, nothing changed. But here's the problem. I don't remember leaving the room in some clips. There are gaps, missing minutes. The timestamp continues, but my body isn't visible exiting. It's just gone. Like the camera forgot to render me leaving. Listener, have you ever felt slightly unreal when alone? Like you're waiting for someone to confirm you're there? We assume existence is default, but what if it requires observation? Physics talks about observer effects, particles behaving differently when measured. What if we're not the observers? What if we're the particles? Last night, I did something reckless. I turned off every light, sat in the dark, closed my eyes. I wanted to see how much of me remained without sight, without confirmation. Do you know what happens when you remove your own awareness? The edges go first. My hands felt distant, my breathing less synchronized, thoughts lagged. I felt like a buffering video. Then, something else happened. A presence. Not in the room, in the space where I wasn't looking. Like reality thickened in unobserved corners. I opened my eyes immediately. The walls seemed slightly closer, my bookshelf leaned inward, and my reflection in the TV screen was a fraction of a second delayed. I moved, it followed, but not instantly. I think I'm not stable alone. I think I require witnesses, which brings me to you. When I speak into this microphone, when you listen, I feel solid, defined. My voice has edges, my thoughts align linearly. The room behaves, nothing stretches, nothing shifts. But when I stop recording, when there's no listener, the apartment breathes. The ceiling height fluctuates. The mirror sometimes reflects someone standing slightly behind me, but only when I'm not directly looking. Tonight, I tried an experiment. I spoke aloud. If someone is hearing this, stay. The air felt anchored. The hum in the walls softened. It's like attention acts as gravity. Without it, I disperse. Do you understand what that means? You stabilize me. Your awareness fixes my coordinates. Your listening collapses my probability into a single version. But here's the part I'm afraid to admit. It's not just me. The more people who listen, the more consistent the environment becomes. Downloads spike, my apartment feels solid for hours. Quiet days, doors misalign, clocks tick unevenly, the kitchen tiles feel rearranged. You think that's coincidence? Tell me, have you ever played a game where parts of the map only render when you approach? That's what my life feels like, rendered by attention. And the moment it drops, I revert to draft form, incomplete, unfinalized. There's something else. Sometimes when I speak directly to you, when I say you, I feel resistance, like awareness pushing back, like something on your side noticing me noticing it. Have you felt that? That slight prickle when a narrator seems to see you? Because maybe I can. Not visually, but structurally. The world sharpens when you focus. I feel it. Right now, as you read this line, my desk is firm. My hands are consistent. My heartbeat is synchronized. But if you scroll away, if you close this, what happens? Do I pause? Do I fragment? Or do I continue dissolving until someone else presses play? Here's my final confession. I tested the theory by whispering something false. I don't exist. The lights flickered, the room blurred, my reflection didn't move when I did, because belief influences stability. If you believe I'm here, I'm here. If you doubt, the structure weakens. So I need to ask you something very carefully. When this episode ends, will you remember me? Will you think about this room when you're alone tonight? Because if you do, I might hold. But if you forget, if I become background noise, the apartment will widen, the door handle may change again, and I might wake up with a different name. Listener, are you still there? If you are, don't look away just yet. If the room around you feels stable right now, ask yourself why. Is it because it's solid, or because you are watching it? Tonight, when you turn off your lights, notice the corners, notice the silence, and notice whether the walls feel fixed or waiting. And before you sleep, consider this. What if the world doesn't exist continuously, but refreshes in frames, held together by collective attention? If you enjoyed this descent into shared instability, subscribe. Because attention is structure, memory is architecture, and as long as you're listening, something out here remains intact. But when you close your eyes, ask yourself one final question. Who is holding you together? Good night, or whatever version of it remains when unobserved.
Tonight, we explored objects that refuse permanence, rooms that negotiate with belief, and realities that only behave when watched. But before you leave, pause. Look at something near you. A door, a wall, your reflection. Are you certain it stays the same when you turn away? Or does it wait for permission to decide what it is? In this episode, homes reshaped themselves around dissatisfaction. Spaces stabilized under shared perception, and a voice, perhaps mine, held form only because you were listening. So let me ask you something carefully. When you stop paying attention, does your world remain fixed, or does it quietly renegotiate itself? Because observation is not passive, it is participation. You are not just witnessing reality, you are reinforcing it. And if enough of us stop noticing, what dissolves first? The objects, the spaces, or the people who rely on being remembered? Tonight, when you switch off the light, don't move immediately. Stay still. Listen for the soft adjustment of walls settling into new decisions. If you hear nothing, that doesn't mean nothing changed. It may just mean you weren't meant to notice. This is Mr. Haunting Whispers TV, where perception is fragile, memory is negotiable, and the unseen waits patiently for your attention. Until next time, keep watching, because something might be watching back, and it may need you more than you realize.
You've been listening to Mr. Haunting Whispers, where every truth leaves a scar. If the story unsettled you, good. That means you were listening. Subscribe and stay close to the dark, because the next whisper might be for you.